Welcome back to Circuit of the Americas. It is now time for Superbikes at Texas, the penultimate round of the 10th anniversary MotoAmerica Championship season. We have 3 Superbike races to unfold this weekend. It is a triple header for the big bikes, but before we can get to racing, we need to wrap up qualifying. We had one qualifying session yesterday afternoon. It is almost time for bikes to be released for the second and final qualifying session here for the Steel Commander Superbike category. The results from both of these sessions will be combined. That's the way we will set our starting grid for all 3 of the races here this weekend. You can see fans already making their way into the racetrack. It's a beautiful place to come and watch racing. Let's take a look back, Roger Hayden, at what unfolded at Mid-Ohio, race number 2.
Yeah, race 2 at Mid-Ohio. See Kevin Beaubier there on pole position there with a great start, putting himself on the outside. Loris Baz also. Sean Dillon Kelly with the great start. See Ken Peterson also with a really good start, but Sean Dillon Kelly early on in this race was showing some really good pace. Got out front and looked like he was going to try to check out, but you see Josh Herron there making the move on his teammate. Then he makes a move on Ken Beaubier in the chicane where you do not see a lot of passes. Next on his list, same spot, Sean Dillon Kelly there right behind him, but Sean is going to fight back right away to try to lead this race. You see there, Sean, this is the most laps we've seen him lead there. You see Josh really wanting to try to control the pace, but Josh had his spot through there down into turn 1, was able to make the move. Hold on for the win. Sean Dillon Kelly second, and Cameron Beaubier rounding out the podium.
For Josh Herron, it was the first double up in his Superbike career. You can see how excited he was about that. He has now won 3 races in a row going back to WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca. And with those 3 wins, you can see he is our championship points leader, with 52 points is the gap between himself and Bobby Fong, who is sitting in second, tied with Jake Gagne coming into the race weekend. But big news unfolding in the days coming up to this race. Jake Gagne now sitting out for the remainder of this championship season, making the decision to start recovering from the injuries that he's been plagued with all season long. So we know that those points are going to change over the course of these 3 races. Let's go ahead and get down to the 3rd member of our broadcast team, and Michael Hill.
Yeah, thank you, Jamie. Bikes out on circuit. Of course, we all send our best wishes to Jake Gagne, wishing him a speedy recovery. I'm sure he'll be back on the grid fighting at the front next year. Another interesting story developing from yesterday. Well, 2 stories, really. One, we saw Cameron Beaubier breaking the outright circuit record. He was quite happy with what he did yesterday, and rightly so. Still with an outside chance of the championship, but he's going to have to win all 3 races here. You'll see over my shoulder, hopefully anyway, the Suzuki M4 X-Star team. And of course, what a turnaround this weekend, both for Brandon Pash and importantly for Richie Escalante. Escalante yesterday morning was leading FP1 for pretty much half of the session, was well inside the top 6 or 7. We could see, Roger, the Suzuki's somewhere near the podium fight this week, and that is so good to see, not just for them, but for the series as well. Yeah, and it's great too, and for Richie coming here, knowing this is a good track for him, and also the Suzuki really works well here at the Circuit of the Americas, and Richie is, a couple races back now from his injury and starting to kind of show the form that he had before he had that big crash at round 1.
If you're joining us on YouTube this morning, the only place where you can watch all 3 of the races live in their entirety, as well as each and every qualifying session for Superbikes, is MotoAmerica Live Plus. This stream is bonus content for you right now. It will not stay up all day long, though, so make sure you go over to MotoAmericaLivePlus.com and get your account set up. There are 3 Superbike races this weekend, but 5 different categories here at Circuit of the Americas, and we still have our championship weekend coming in just a couple of weeks at New Jersey Motorsports Park.
You can just see in Richie's riding the confidence that he's showing so far this weekend, being fast yesterday and able to carry that on over till today. And man, Richie's looking really strong, and hopefully he can continue throughout the weekend. And he's going to have to improve a little bit if he's going to want to stay in that spot, but I think Richie can do it.
If you look at the results from yesterday, Richie Escalante inside of the top 5, a 2:09.196 towards the end of that first qualifying session. This is the 30-minute session for the Steel Commander Superbike riders this morning. We just had Supersport bikes come off of the racetrack, and really, Roger, it wasn't until the final 5 minutes of that session that we started to have a battle for the pole.
Yeah, and I think you probably see some of that in this qualifying as well. You know, but every rider has their own strategy. Some guys might not have put a new tire on toward the end of that first qualifier yesterday and saved it for this morning, and we'll just see how it shakes up. But usually the beginning of these sessions, a lot of these riders really focus on doing a lot of long laps, a lot of long runs, try to maximize the track time. And you know, these 12 laps around this place is a really long time, and you need to get out there and get a lot of laps on your tires and see what's going to happen after those first 4 or 5 laps when the track, when the grip starts going down a little bit.
3 races here this weekend. Going for the pole, the starting grid will be the same for all 3 of those races. So getting yourself up there into a great starting position is going to be a key factor in kicking off a solid weekend. You see Richie Escalante, he had the clean track in front of him, a 2:09.0 for Richie on that first flying lap.
A little bit quicker than he went yesterday too, so one of those guys going out right away and picking up a little speed.
But Cameron Beaubier quickly putting himself at the top of the board again, a 2:08.617 for Cameron Beaubier on his first flying lap. He is our provisional pole sitter with a new track record time that he set yesterday afternoon. It was a 2:07.703. You see up there on the screen right now. That is the time to beat here in this second qualifying session, and Cameron Beaubier leading the way.
Leading the way, and you know, it's kind of a scary sight. See him out there able to do those laps yesterday and then pick right up into 2:08s this morning. So Cam is really looking comfortable this weekend. They made some changes from the morning session to the afternoon session, and it looks like it's getting Cam a little bit more comfortable. He's already a half a second under in the first sector, so Cam's really feeling good. We'll see it coming out of this turn here. The second sector should pop up. We see Cam Peterson with the mistake. Forez.
It's actually Xavi Forez.
The yellow got me.
He is filling in. If you weren't with us yesterday, Xavi Forez filling in for Jake Gagne for the remaining 2 rounds of MotoAmerica competition. He was with the team, the same team back at Daytona for the Daytona 200, the Supersport race, and really liked the team. The team really liked working with him. They didn't have any other opportunities over the course of this season. And for Xavi Forez, if you remember, he filled in for Richie Escalante as he was recovering from injury over at the Vision Wheel M4 XR Suzuki team. So Xavi, the super sub this weekend, but take a look at what just happened for him.
Yeah, you can see the bumps a little bit going into that corner there, and just a little bit of front end chatter there. You see how it kind of moves around. Not a fast crash there, but for Xavi, you can see he gets up and he's really trying to hurry up right there. That's through turns 13 and 14. This is a qualifier, so it's important to get back to the pits and try to get that bike fixed and get back out. This Beaubier now goes to a 2:07.5, so he is quicker than he went yesterday.
That is a new track record for Cameron Beaubier, a 2:07.558. Only 2 laps into the second qualifying session.
Yeah, we talked about track temperature being down this morning, and you can see it in the lap times as well. Everybody is already going quite a bit quicker than they went yesterday. We see Josh Herron now through the first sector. He's on a really good lap as well.
See the new look helmet for Josh Herron this weekend, paying tribute to Geraldo Faraci, the Fast by Faraci.
We see Josh lost a couple tenths in that second sector, but still his personal best won through there. But you can see how hard Josh is pushing there on the brakes, having trouble getting it to slow down a little bit through turn 12.
But he's showing a pace right now that's less than 2 tenths off of the pole position. This would be a big improvement for Josh from yesterday and put him into the 2:07s as well.
Yeah, huge improvement for Josh. And I think that's all he can ask for with the 52-point lead, as he lost a lot in that third sector. Some of it, I believe, was on the brakes in the 12. But, you know, for him, he just wants to be close. I think if he can just be in the fight and be on the front row, Josh will be happy with that.
Yeah, that third sector, that killed that lap time. It went from 2 tenths down to 7 tenths. Hearing a report that Augusta Sierra has had an incident out on the racetrack.
Cam Beaubier also is on an improving lap as well.
That time for Josh Herron, a 2:08.836. So it was his best time of the session, but still looking to pick up the pace from where he was at yesterday. We saw the problem for Xavi Flores a minute ago. He's made it to pit lane, Michael.
Xavi Flores has made it back into the pits. He immediately started talking to the team. There's not much damage to the bike. They are just changing the rear footrest, or rather the right-hand side footrest and the rear brake button, so they're changing that quite quickly. Flores was gesticulating. We might see it if we get a picture of him in a second, but he was talking about trail braking into that turn, and kind of exactly what Roger said. Just had a little bit of chatter and lost the front. You can see there he's gesticulating again now to another member of the team. I did just make eye contact with Xavi, ask if he'll speak to us. He said he will, so I'm just going to give him a second to finish this little debrief. You can see there, again, he's gesticulating a lot in terms of the bike, so I wonder whether there was some kind of issue. Let me just jump over the wall and see if we can get a quick word with Xavi. And Xavi, we won't keep you too much. We could see you gesticulating a little bit there, obviously a little bit of chatter going into to that right-hander. What was the issue?
Yeah, well, I had a small crash this morning. We made a few changes from yesterday, and I tried to be quick as soon as possible, and I did a small mistake in turn 13. Nothing serious, but I took the front and run out of the track. So bike is getting better and better. I'm improving my lap times every time I go out on the track, so hopefully I can do a good position on the grid for this afternoon, getting more information, and try to solve some electrical issues we still have.
Was that obviously what the gesticulation was there, the little movements that you were making, the bike just cutting out possibly? Is that what I understood, or have I got that wrong?
Yeah, no, well, I have, it's just one corner where I have some power delivery issues, and the bike is not clean running out of that corner, but nothing serious. I mean, we're adjusting step by step. From yesterday to today, we did a good step, so still trying to fix that, and then we will see. Okay, thanks,
Xavi. And Roger, such an intelligent rider, so much experience, and even after that small crash, even with those little issues, just so calm and collected, isn't he?
Yeah, and you know, that's kind of a mistake, as you see here as we go into the right hand. You can see kind of the bumps right there. The cars do that, but watch the front end. Just a kind of a common crash in that corner once the front end starts going there. And as he said, you're trail braking all the way through that corner. He's pushing hard. He had JD Beach there in front of him. And, you know, these sessions, these Superbike riders, as we see, like Cam Beaubier is already in the 207s. It's so important to getting up to speed as quick as possible. And sometimes you push it a little too hard.
This is Xavi Flores' bike, but one rider that we haven't seen post a time inside of the top 20 yet this morning is Cameron Peterson, and there's his bike sitting on pit lane, Roger.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on there. It doesn't even have tire warmers on, or they're on the front, but not in the back. So it looks like Cam's not going to participate in this session.
It's all hands on Xavi Flores right now. Michael, what's going on?
Yeah, it's quite interesting. I never actually realized. I saw Peterson come in after just one lap, and he has basically took his helmet off and he's walked away from the garage. So not actually sure. If the bike down here, you can see on the rear tire, that's got the wet tire in down here. So there's clearly some kind of issue. There is no sign of Cam Peterson, and there is no sign of his crew. So I'll try and find out what's going on. But I think you're right, Roger. Doesn't look like he's going to take part in this session, and I am not sure why.
How interesting. We look at qualifying from yesterday. He was able to go out yesterday, but put himself back on the third row. So certainly something going on for that number 45. We get back to live qualifying action here out on the racetrack. The number 69, this is Hayden Gillum, one of the riders competing in the Superbike Cup category. It's the Stock 1000 spec Honda. He hasn't done the full season, so he's not in the Superbike Cup Championship, as he has his focus on the Stock 1000 title as well as the Mission King of the Baggers Championship. But great to have him back out this weekend. Sean Dillon Kelly sitting second right now in this qualifying session. He was third yesterday, Roger. Yeah, and such a big day, I think, yesterday for Sean. Usually we've seen in previous races they kind of struggle a little bit early on Fridays. New track for the Superbike team, top pro guys, new tracks for Sean on the Superbike. Usually takes the first day to kind of get up to speed, but he led the first practice session yesterday morning, and that's just huge kudos to Sean and that team. And right now he's really starting to show the speed on the Superbike as Cam Beaubier goes even faster again. Another track record for Cameron Beaubier at 2:07.423 aboard his BMW. Go back to Sean Dillon Kelly, also on a BMW, but he is now almost 9/10 of a second off of the provisional pole time, sitting in second place. Let's get back down to Michael Hill.
Yeah, great lap there from Sean Dillon Kelly, but unfortunately we will not be seeing the 45 of Cam Peterson. I've just spoke to Tom Halverson from Yamaha. I said, what's the issue? The bike is parked down here, Cam's not here, the crew's not here. He said yesterday the issue was Cam, today the issue is the bike. He will not take part in this session, so he wouldn't elaborate on that. I did push him to try and see what the issue was. No elaboration. All I can tell you is, sadly, he is not going to take part in this session, and I guess there's now a question mark over his participation in race 1.
That's a big development for Cameron Peterson, that whole 45 team. They've been able to win 3 times this season. They've stood on the podium 8 times together with Jake Gagne out this for the rest of this season. Now Peterson was their only horse that was in the fight to be able to move up in terms of championship point standings.
Yeah, and that's just unfortunate for the team and also for Cam Peterson as well. After the way they started out the year so strong, and Cam was riding so well, and you know, things have just kind of gone in racing, things can start going uphill or they can start going downhill, and for those guys it's been going the wrong way.
See Loris Baz, the number 76 Ducati. His last lap was his best lap so far, a 2:08.580. Yesterday he was able to do a 2:08.4, so he's right there in the same range of his pace from yesterday afternoon. And that was one of the things that Loris talked about. He said, I've got to be able to close the gap up to Josh Herrin. He wanted to be able to get closer to him. On the same conditions this morning, the 2 riders are only just over 1/10 of a second separated.
Yeah, they're close. And we see JD here struggling a little bit this week. And they had a motor issue in that first practice yesterday morning. And JD didn't even get to complete a lap. So he kind of misses that first session. And so far he's been trying to make up time since then.
JD Beach right now down in 8th place in this qualifying session. Yesterday his best time was a 2:10.7. He's at 2:09.8 here this morning. So finding some improvement for himself, but he's still a decent amount back from the rest of the field.
Yeah, and it's kind of the, you know, JD all year has been kind of looking for the confidence and the comfortability and, you know, the limit of this BMW, and he has struggled a little bit with that. And I know he's worked hard. The team is really, they've all been working really hard to try to figure it out. JD's one of the hardest working guys out there, but just missing a little bit of confidence.
Back to Loris Baz. He went red in the first sector. You can see right now the lap that he's on would be below that pole time, just in sector number 1. So it's a big improvement for him. But there in sector 2, Roger, you talk about putting all of the pieces together. That one sector alone put him in the opposite direction.
Yeah, and that seems like it's the sector that everybody's pretty close to Cam in that first sector, or even better, and they lose it all in that second one. And we'll see what Loris can do. Now he's here into the 3rd sector. This part of the track's a little bit slower, a little bit tighter, so maybe he can pick up a little bit more that he lost in that 2nd sector as he comes out of this left-hander here. The 3rd sector should pop up pretty soon, and lost another half a second through there. So his personal best through that 3rd sector, but you can still see he lost 4/10, and that's a small sector as well.
Still going to be an improving lap for Loris Baz, just not as close to Cameron Beaubier as what it looked like it could have been there after the first sector, but certainly some pieces that he can now work on. You also saw a graphic up there for Danilo Lewis just a moment ago. He just did his best lap of the qualifying session at 2:12.5. He is our leader in the Superbike Cup category right now as Loris Baz improves to a 2:08.4, puts himself ahead of his teammate Josh Herrin here in qualifying session number 2.
Yeah, that's a good lap for Loris, kind of the exact same lap time that he did yesterday. So still going to be off that front row with the combined times. As you see Loris slowing down now and probably pulling in the pits and really going to try to get a new rear Dunlop and come out and see if he can't get himself in the 207s.
See the weather there at the top of the screen, 85 degrees right now, 67% humidity. The wind's about the same as what it was yesterday, but the temperature, Roger, a lot lower. Yesterday we were right up there in the 95-degree range, but the humidity was a lot lower.
Yeah, and I think also this morning there's some cloud cover as well, and yesterday there wasn't a cloud in the sky. I mean, it was The sun was really beating down on the track. Temperatures were up, and I think that's why you see a lot of guys going quicker this morning. And this afternoon, though, it's probably going to get as hot as it was yesterday.
As this session continues, a reminder that you fans can pick your favorite riders for a chance to win money, available on your favorite sports books and daily fantasy sites like DraftKings and Underdog Fantasy. Just visit nxtbets.com/playma for exclusive sign-up bonuses for new players and even receive some bonus cash. It's available in all legal states. Check nxtbets.com/playma to see where you can play. The odds will be reset after all 3 of the Superbike category races here this weekend. Let's take a look going into race number 1, Roger. These are the win probabilities that you can use to bet off of.
Let's see here, looks like Josh Herron, 30% chance there to win, and Cam Beaubier, Bobby Fong, Cam Peterson, Loris Baz. After this morning, it would be really hard not to bet on Cam Beaubier.
I agree. Josh Herron certainly has shown some pace, but with the buffer that he has, he does not need to push as hard as some of the other riders. Cam Beaubier, though, he's so far back in terms of championship points after sitting out, and he's got the pace this weekend. I would take Cameron Beaubier. Cameron Peterson, though, he's not even out there for the second qualifying session.
I don't think I would. Yesterday, 9th, setting out this session. Unfortunately for him, I'd be a long shot.
Again, these odds will be reset after each of the races this weekend, so keep checking back in nxtbets.com/playma. Let's go back to qualifying action now. Under 10 minutes remaining, and the final opportunity for these Steel Commander Superbike riders to go for pole. Let's get down to Michael Hill.
Yeah, Loris Baz just coming in down here, quite calm as always. Got a new livery on the helmet. I don't know if you can see there, the new LS2 helmet, the Texas flag. Also on the other side of the box there is Josh Herron, and looks like he is just getting ready to come back out as well, putting the helmet on just off camera. But very relaxed from Loris Baz, a lot of experience, as of course was Xavi Forés. Forés now back out on circuit after that little spill that he had earlier on, and of course he now looking to give attack performance something to cheer about. You can see there is Forés just coming through sector 1, and as I said, this is the first time that I've been here at the circuit. He now comes out towards the back part of the circuit. Such an amazing track, and the TV shows a little bit of undulation, but you really do not get an understanding of just how much up and down, how much difference and variation there is in the elevation around this track, especially at this point here, round the hairpin, down the back straight, and it looks pretty flat, but I can tell you it is not flat, Roger, and the guys down here, especially in Superbike, touching on towards nearly 190 miles an hour, one of the fastest straights on the MotoAmerica calendar, as Xavi Forés comes into the braking zone. A couple of moments ago is where we saw him make a mistake, and another mistake there on the brakes for Xavi Forés, but this time he manages to keep it on 2 wheels. But looks like he's struggling a little bit, Xavi Forés, as you can probably hear behind me, the 2 Ducatis, and Loris Baz and Josh Herron, they are going back out on the circuit together. So for the Ducatisti that are trackside and watching on the TV, it is going to be formation flying for Ducati.
Be great to see them back out. You can see a lot of riders on pit lane right now. Michael mentioned top speeds here. Cameron Beaubier, 186.5, Roger.
Yeah, we talk about the BMW being strong on top speed. We got BMW first, second, and third. Josh Herron, though, the Ducati, it's quick as well, but the BMW is really showing its legs this weekend.
We continue to watch Xavi Forés when he made that mistake on that lap that he's just completed, taking the bike back to pit lane. You could see the frustration in his body language. He was beating himself up a bit.
Yeah, and the thing is, you crash in the session and then you fix it and you go back out, and sometimes you override. You're trying to make up for that time that you lost, and you just start making a couple mistakes, or maybe it's some of the changes they made overnight. That's really hard when you crash and you get back out. You want to go faster so bad, and then you kind of override a little bit, and sometimes you just got to kind of slow down and make sure you hit your marks.
We just saw Bobby Fong on that number 50. There he is exiting pit lane right now, sitting second in the championship point standings, 54 points behind Josh Herron. Bobby Fong with a couple of wins this season. He was the points leader after his double up back at Brainerd, and it's been an up and down ever since then, but he is still solidly in the fight with 5 races remaining in this championship season. But for Bobby Fong and the whole, really, the Wrench Motorcycles team, as a privateer effort, being able to come out this season, not only win races, but lead the points and still be in it here in the late stages. It's been a great year for them. Yeah, it's been an impressive showing for the team and also for Bobby. And it's also, I think it's great too for the series. It shows you that you can jump in and Superbike the top class and be competitive. One of the things that these riders are all racing for, yes, you win the championship, but what do you get with it? Well, for the 2024 season, Tom Duma Fine Jewelers of Ohio will produce custom championship rings and pendants for the MotoAmerica champions in the Steel Commander Superbike, Mission King of the Baggers, Supersport, and the Mission Mini Cup by Motul classes. Tom himself will work with each champion to choose from several different designs, all with a retail value between $12,000 and $15,000. It's a beautiful prize for a hard-fought championship season. Yeah, it's a great prize, and also we got to talk to Tom at Mid-Ohio, came in the booth and showed us how the riders get to do their design and their influence, and it's a really cool process and a great reward for those guys. See Loris Baz out there. We heard the 2 Ducatis getting back to power, going out there to finish out the second qualifying session. Loris on track right now. It looks like he's in front of his teammate Josh Herrin. There's Josh sitting right behind him on the racetrack. The two of these two riders have worked together all season. We've seen it during multiple qualifying sessions. They go out together, they follow the same timeline, and they're able to push each other each time. Yeah, they follow each other, and ever since Loris has kind of closed down the gap, it's been a little bit less, but right now Josh is in a really good spot there. Loris has a good first sector, but look at Josh Herrin through there, able to get a huge toe through there. It's not a draft toe. You're just trying to catch the guy in front of you, use him as a little bit of a carriage. The second sector is going to pop up for both those guys anytime. All right, you see Josh Herrin after 2 sectors now, going red in sector number 1, personal best in sector 2. Loris Baz right there with them. Both of these riders being shown below that provisional pole time that Cameron Beaubier set with a new track record of 2:07.423. If these 2 riders can continue on this pace here with just 3.5 minutes remaining in this qualifying session, we could get a new pole sitter. Yeah, we've seen Loris lose a little bit in this sector. The last time he was on a really good lap, but with the fresh tire, he's able to maybe not lose as much. Lost a little bit, but he's still right there on it. Josh Herrin, though, he is still below that provisional pole time. Now, as he rounds out this lap, looking at the timing and scoring screen, Cameron Beaubier also on a good lap as well. We'll see here the closing stages of qualifying session number 2. Who can get pole? Loris Baz improves to a 2:07.4. Josh Herrin at 2:07.376. That is a new lap record here at Circuit of the Americas, but Cameron Beaubier is still pushing. On the lap that he's on right now, he's being shown as being even quicker than that. Yeah, Cam Beaubier might be the first rider to get in the 2:06s. Losing a little bit though in that first and third sector, but still under it. With that performance in sector number 2, he is able to continue improving his pace. Sean Dylan Kelly improving his lap time as well, getting closer to the front row, but right now he is being shown above a 2:07.7 for Sean Dylan Kelly. So right now he's just off of the front row. A 2:07.018 for Cameron Beaubier, putting himself back into the top spot, knocking on the door of a 2:06, but it is another track record reset for Cameron Beaubier. And looking at the laps that Josh Herrin and Loris Baz are on right now, they are not on a flying lap. We have 1 minute and 45 seconds remaining in the session. Xavi Flores has left pit lane after beating himself up over another mistake that he was able to make, but he's improving his pace. Michael?
Yeah, Flores on a good lap, but what a stunning lap from Cameron Beaubier, 2 minutes 7 flat. And of course, that's what he's got to do, hasn't he? An outside chance of the championship. He's got to keep putting the pressure on Josh Herrin and hope that Herrin makes some kind of mistake. Mathematically, Beaubier can still win the championship, and if he does go on to take this pole position with this all-time lap record, as Flores crosses the line and goes on to the provisional second row of the grid, that is going to be advantage Beaubier. The question is, Roger, can Beaubier go on to win all 3 races and really put the pressure on Josh Herrin?
Well, he's shown the pace to do it, as right now he's even on another better lap, which would put him in the 206s if he's able to finish this last half of the lap. We see JD Beach, Ken Beaubier's teammate right now on screen, but Ken Beaubier is going to be tough to beat this week. He has showed the speed, and not only the speed, just the way he's able to put those laps in anytime he wants.
This is a good lap for JD Beach because before this one, he was 2.8 seconds off of his teammate, now 2.3 seconds. So he was able to close that gap to his teammate by over half of a second. But Cameron Beaubier already on the pole with a new lap record, another new lap record. Every time someone crosses the stripe, we are bettering.
We said 206s, it might be a mid 206.
2:07.0 is the time that he's trying to beat right now, showing half a second below that. We take Cameron Beaubier across the stripe at 2:06.559 for Cameron Beaubier. As Beaubier crossed the stripe, he is not being shown as taking the checkered flag, as checkers are now flying, but it doesn't look like Beaubier is going to go for another one.
No, either Sean Dillon Kelly as well, but man, what a lap for Cam Beaubier, 2:06.5.
Coming into this weekend, the track record was set by Jake Gagne back in 2023. It was a 2:08.1. 12 months later, we're at a 2:06.5. What a qualifying session for Cameron Beaubier. Josh Herrin, Loris Baz on the front row, both with a 2:07s. Yesterday, Roger, we had a instant 360 camera on Xavi Flores' bike. This is cool footage.
Yeah, it's really cool footage here, and this is the really long right-hander. You can see how long it is through here, and you're trying to use all the track. Tricky part is you got to come all the way back for this left-hander there, going into the last corner here. You can just see riders talk about this track being really physical. As you watch this lap, you will be able to see how much work it is, especially out of this last corner. You can see the Superbike guys are trying to wheelie through there, and it's hard to go through the gears, and it's a quick run. It looks like a long straightaway up to turn 1, but already he's on the brakes, and this hairpin in turn 1, it gets really tight after that straightaway. Down the hill, there's a lot more down the hill than it looks like on the screen, and then through this next part of the track, it is just a lot of work on a Superbike. Look how fast they change directions through here, left, right, back to the left. They always hit the curb on the inside to try to use as much track as possible, drift up a little bit here, and then the part of this fast flowing section slows down at this part here, left through this right, and this is one of my favorite parts personally of the track. This left-hander, the next left is basically wide open, but you can't see it as the track goes down as you head on down to the hairpin onto the back straightaway.
Instant 360 camera angles really do show you the elevation that it's so hard to get a sense of when you're watching it on the screen, but it's pretty dramatic here at Circuit of the Americas. All right, we'll take a look at the results from the 2 qualifying sessions combined. Our pole sitter Cameron Beaubier, 2:06.559. Josh Herrin sitting in second with his teammate Loris Baz rounding out that front row.
Sean Dillon Kelly, Richie Escalante, Xavi Flores rounding out the second row, then Brendan Posh, JD Beach, Bobby Fong, and Ashton Yates.
Ashton Yates, the first of the Superbike Cup riders on a stock 1000 spec bike, right there inside of the top 10. That's a great qualifying session for Ashton Yates. Take a look at some of the highlights from this second qualifying session. We'll start off with Loris Baz.
Yeah, it's a great lap by Loris. Not only did he do that lap, he wasn't following anyone. He did it on his own. And, you know, we've seen him on the front row the last couple races, and it's going to be interesting to see if he can translate that front row to a really strong result and being there for the fight for the win.
His teammate Josh Herrin is able to better his time by just a bit. The two are separated by just a 1/10 of a second.
Yeah, and for Josh to put himself on the front row, I think that's all he can ask for. That's where he wants to be. Just try to get through that first turn clean is first thing on Josh's mind.
excited to see the new bodywork and leathers on Josh Herrin as we get into racing this afternoon. But Cameron Beaubier, there's not enough that you can say about him. He's just put on a clinic this weekend.
Yeah, he has. He's dominated this weekend. Mid-Ohio kind of did the same thing and struggled a little bit in the races, but the win is going to come through the number 6 on the BMW this weekend.
Let's go ahead and hear from Cameron Beaubier. He's made his way over to Michael Hill.
Yeah, Cameron Beaubier, got to start by just saying chapeau, young man. That was one heck of a lap. A 2.70, followed it up with a 2.65. How much faster could you have gone if you were really trying?
I don't know about that, but yeah, thank you. Just want to give it up to my Tyler's BMW crew. They're, man, they've been working so hard. We, like I said yesterday, we're kind of scratching our heads after Sunday at Ohio, and kind of went back to the drawing board and then trying to couple things different with the bike setup. And man, they got it feeling good this weekend. So yeah, it's gonna be, I mean, it's only Saturday morning. We got 3 races to go, so don't want to get too excited yet. But yeah, just gotta keep our heads down and ride a good, clean race.
Obviously 3 races this weekend, only 5 left in the championship. Mathematically, you are still in the fight. You've won championships before, Cameron. I mean, all you can do is be fast, top sessions. You're doing that, so you're putting the pressure on now to the other team, aren't you, in terms of to Josh Herrin? I mean, that's all you can do.
Yeah, I mean, we're doing what we can right now. We definitely had our lumps throughout the season, and Josh has been riding incredible. Their team has been really hard to beat this year. And yeah, he's in the position for a reason. He's got 60 points on us. So yeah, we're not even really thinking championship. We're just gonna go take it race by race and do our best. And yeah, I mean, it's his to lose at this point. So yeah, it should be good.
Obviously, you're not thinking about the championship, so I'll ask you this one then before you let you go and get ready for race 1. 3 on the bounce, no pressure?
I'm sure. We'll see. That'd be nice.
Thanks, Cameron. All smiles from Cameron Beaubier. Stay with us then. The Superbike riders are going to get ready for race number 1. There's more to come on MotoAmerica Live Plus. We'll be back after this short break.